Get ready for an amazing journey through one of the most surreal landscapes in the United States. It has stunning views, fascinating wildlife, and stories etched into stone. That's right, the South Dakota Badlands, it has it all. Hi, I'm Mary Ellen, better known as Prepper Potpourri on YouTube, and this is Prepper Potpourri Escapes. And today I'm going to share with you a journey that my cousin and I recently took through the amazing South Dakota Badlands. It has dramatic rock formations, the cutest little prairie dog towns, and you'll get a glimpse of very, very rugged beauty. All from the comfort of taking the Loop Road in the Badlands National Park, and you can watch it right from your easy chair. Fun fact, did you know that almost 1 million visitors actually visit the Badlands National Park each year, and they're from all around the world? Now, we were there in late September, and we were lucky. The park wasn't busy at all. In some areas, we had it completely to ourselves. And the weather was good. It was in the high 70s, low 80s, but quite windy. Now, I want to give you a few tips in case you're considering going to the Badlands so you can have the best experience possible. Admission fee. Well, we didn't have to pay an admission fee because my cousin has that Lifetime Senior America Beautiful Pass, so we can get into all the national parks. But if you don't have that, which, hey, if you're a senior, it's a great deal. I think it's $80 for the lifetime. But if you don't have that, it's $30 for your vehicle, including all the occupants. Oh, but one thing to notice is the park doesn't accept any cash. It's cashless. So you have to pay with a debit or credit card. Now, maybe your pets, your dog, or hey, maybe your cat is coming along with you. Well, if that's true, you have to know that you cannot take them with you on hikes in the park. As long as they're on a leash, you can have them off at the viewing points, but no dogs or other pets on the hiking trails. And prepare for the elements. You can have a sudden thunderstorm, or it can be so hot and you get parched really fast. So make sure you bring plenty of water. And you might want to wear a hat and some sunscreen. Also, please be aware that cell service is very spotty in the park, and in many areas there just is no service. And one more thing, if you wanted to get a gorgeous picture overview up ahead with your drone, well, you can't. No drones are allowed in the national park. Right next to the entrance of the park, we encountered prairie dogs right off the road. A whole town of them, and they're so darn cute. And they're very social animals, and they were chirping. And here's another amazing fact. They can talk to each other, and they have found out, can describe what type of predator, the speed of that predator, and even the color by their different chirps. So they're pretty vocally intelligent. But while I might love those little creatures and find them adorable, surrounding ranchers do not. Ecologically speaking, the prairie dogs burrowing in the soil is good. It also gives it another home for burrowing owls and the black-footed ferrets, which were almost extinct and are making a comeback in the Badlands. But ranchers in the area, not so much a fan. That burrowing underground causes uneven ground, and cattle can actually fall, trip, break a leg. It can cause a lot of problems. And the cattle and the prairie dogs can be competing for the same grass to graze on. But for me, the prairie dog's quirky little behavior and their chattering adds a lot of charm to the landscape. But again, I warn you, don't get too close. Allow them to have their space and you have your space, because prairie dogs can carry the bubonic plague, introduced by fleas. Now, this would be very rare for you to get it, but why chance it? Don't get close to the prairie dog. You can easily see them from afar. But while the prairie dogs gave us plenty of entertainment, they weren't the only iconic animal there right near the entrance. The other was, yes, the American bison. Or, as we used to say when we were kids, buffalo. But I guess that is incorrect. You must call them a bison. But on our trip out west, we are going to see many, many, many bison. So, in the beginning, oh, isn't that neat? In the end, it was like seeing cattle. Now, in the 60s, when I was first here as a kid with my cousin Jana, they were just introducing 50 bison into the area. And that herd has grown and grown. They tried to keep it at about 1,000 animals. Again, keep a safe distance from the bison. Some say 25 yards, some say 100 yards. They are incredibly fast animals. They might look slow, but they're not. And they're kind of grouchy very often. So if all of a sudden they get upset and go like this and get you with the horns and gorge you, very, very painful death or injury. So be careful around the bison. Another hazard to watch out for is the rattlesnake. And they can actually blend into their surroundings. You have to be careful. As long as you stay on the paths, you can see what's ahead of you, but don't go off into the prairie grass. And if you do, make sure you have high boots on, because you do not want to get bit by a rattlesnake on your vacation. But don't worry, they're just as scared of you as you are of them. So as long as you don't get close and scare them, you'll be fine. Oh yeah, and one more thing as a mother and a child. When my cousin and I were here first, we were in early elementary school, and we went with my mother and her sister, and my cousin's mother was continually shouting at us, "Don't get too close. Back them up. Come here. You're too close to the edge." You do have to be careful. In some of the areas, there is no railing, and there's just a steep drop off. So if you do have children, make sure you can keep them in bounds. This is where you trust your husband if you're taking pictures.
Get back.
What? Get back? Oh, sure. You want me to keep backing up? Keep backing up?
More. Make it a little more.
Now, the Badlands Loop Road that we were on is only 39 miles long. And if you drove straight through, it would take about an hour. But I gotta say, why drive straight through? Take your time. Stop off. See the scenery, take some trails, enjoy the park at its fullest. Now, when I first visited the park with my cousin Jana in the 1960s, it wasn't a national park. It was a national monument. It was declared a national monument in 1939, and it wasn't declared a national park until 1978. So when I came back to the park with my own kids 30 plus years later, then it was a national park as it is now. Today, as we drive down this loop road, take in the breathtaking scenery. We're traveling through layers of history, both geological and human. This rugged landscape was once a shallow sea, leaving behind layers of sediment rock, and erosion has sculpted them into dramatic formations that we see today. And another fun fact, it's one of the richest fossil beds in the world. We've had discoveries of ancient mammals, turtles, and even marine life in the distant past. And when you look around in the Badlands, one of the most striking things is the different color striations in the formations. And those layers aren't just beautiful, they're a geological timeline etched into the landscape. The reddish layers are ancient soils known as palisols that were exposed to oxygen, causing iron in the soil to oxidize. And of course, that gives them the rusty color. Then there's those grayish layers, and that comes from volcanic ash that settled here after ancient eruptions. And it compacted into bentonite clay. And the yellow and tan layers reveal sandy deposits, which were left by those ancient rivers, while the white layers are remnants of shallow seas that once covered the area. And there's even darker layers, which are rich in organic material, and they kind of hint at the swampy landscapes of the very, very distant past. Each color is telling a different environmental story. Badlands' transformation over millions of years. It's a history literally written in stone. For centuries, the Badlands was home to the Lakota Sioux, and they called it Makosika, and that translates as bad land. But it wasn't because they were saying it wasn't beautiful. It was for the challenging terrain. And this area holds a deep spiritual meaning for the Lakota, and it played a vital role in their hunting and gathering traditions. And lastly, we stopped at the 75 million years walk. Sounds like it'd be a really, really long walk, wouldn't it? But it wasn't. It was only a quarter of a mile on a very nice boardwalk. And it's part of the Fossil Exhibit Trail. It details the park's rich geological and paleontological history. And along the trail, there's interpretive signs and fossil replicas which showcase ancient animals that once inhabited the area. And the signs will let you know how the animals either adapted or migrated or went extinct to the different responses to climate change. Is there a lesson to be learned here? But of course, those climate changes occurred over millions of years. The trail provides insights into past environments from ancient seas to tropical rainforest and highlights the diverse fossil discoveries that make this region, like I said, one of the world's richest fossil beds. And we really enjoyed the walk, but we were also amazed when we went near the visitor platform where there were, I think there were toilets there. Anyway, on the platform, look at this. At first glance, we thought they were wasps or some kind of hornet nests. But these jug-shaped mud nests are actually abandoned cliff swallow nests. And those working birds use hundreds of mud pellets to build each nest. However, we did not see a single swallow. We were here in late September, and in September, the swallows start their migration, and they travel thousands of miles to winter in places like Brazil and Argentina. Evening was approaching and we were getting hungry, so we decided to go to our lodging for the night. And through the entire trip, we have tried to stay at bargain places, someplace like our moms would have been able to afford when we were kids, which definitely was more on the bottom tier of lodging. But we were able to find a great place to stay for only $115 for the night at the Badlands Hotel and Campground. And it was located just a mile from the park entrance. Now, our room was basic, but the beds were comfortable. And basically all we needed to do was lay our heads down and sleep after we had a light supper. So it definitely met our needs. But this place also is a campground. It has full hookup RV and tent camping areas. There's a small store there where we could grab some snacks, and they even serve breakfast in the morning. And there are picnic areas outside. There's a pool, but my cousin was very disappointed. It's an above ground pool, but the season is over, so it was closed. Overall, it was extremely convenient and it was comfortable, and we were happy with our lodging. The next morning, I wanted to make sure I got up early to see the sun rise over the Badlands. And believe me, I wasn't disappointed. It was so peaceful, so quiet, almost like a Zen moment. But then we had to pack up our car and get ready because we'd be on the way to the Black Hills next. So join me for my next stop, and remember, adventure awaits.